Learn English through story. The hidden allure. In the sprawling, cobblestone city of Bellamont, there was a district where the aristocrats, merchants, and officials of the city congregated. These were the people of influence and privilege, who dined in extravagant halls, attended glamorous balls, and lived their lives in opulence. Yet, within this glittering facade of wealth and propriety lay a labyrinth of hidden desires, secrets carefully guarded behind smiles and layers of lace and silk. It was a place where every person played their role, keeping their deepest yearnings locked away, known only to themselves. Among the many elite families of Bellamont, none were more prestigious than the House of Marle. Lord Adrian Morrel was a wealthy merchant with interests in every trade that passed through the city, from spices to silks, from gems to gold. He was a man of impeccable reputation, a generous, respected, and deeply loyal to his wife, Lady Serafina. Their union was the envy of all. Serafina, with her golden hair and serene beauty, had been the jewel of Bellamont's society since the day she arrived from her own wealthy family in the northern provinces. Together, they were the picture of marital bliss. Yet, beneath this perfect image, there was a lingering restlessness in Serafina. Her life, though comfortable, felt suffocating in its predictability. She had everything she could want: a wealth, status, admiration, but the days had become monotonous, and she found herself longing for something more, something unnamed, a thrill that would shake her from the torpor of her daily routine. This desire was nothing she could share with anyone, not even her husband, for to do so would shatter the illusion of their perfect life. One evening, at one of Bellamont's grand balls, Serafina noticed a new face among the guests. He was unlike the other aristocrats, who moved with practiced elegance, their smiles false and polished. This Monteluca was strikingly different. His hair was dark and unruly, his clothes less refined, though still of good quality. He exuded an air of mystery, his dark eyes scanning the room as though seeing through the masks everyone wore. Serafina caught his gaze from across the ballroom, and for a moment, something passed between them, an invisible thread of curiosity. Luca was not from Bellamont. He was a traveler, a foreigner, whose business dealings with Lord Morrel had brought him to the city. There were rumors swirling about him, whispers that he had been to lands unknown, that he had dealings in the darker, hidden markets of the world. Some said he was a smuggler, though none could confirm it. Yet, despite the uncertainty surrounding him, Luca was invited into the social circles of Bellamont, for no one could ignore his charm or his wealth. Serafina found herself drawn to him in ways she could not explain. He was nothing like her husband, whose life was built on stability and order. Luca was dangerous, unpredictable, and this intrigued her. In the days that followed the ball, Serafina found herself thinking of him, of the intensity in his gaze, of the subtle smile that had lingered on his lips when they had locked eyes. She told herself it was nothing more than idle curiosity, a passing interest, but deep down, she knew it was more. Their first real conversation came at a garden party, held on the sprawling estate of one of Bellamont's leading families. It was a lavish affair, with fountains, sprawling rose gardens, and music floating through the air. Serafina, clad in a pale blue gown, wandered through the garden, seeking solitude. She hadn't expected to find Luca there, sitting by a fountain, seemingly lost in thought. "Lady Serafina," he said, rising as she approached, his voice low and smooth. "It's a pleasure to see you again." Serafina smiled, though her heart raced. "And you, Mr. Luca, enjoying the garden?" I find it a welcome escape from the endless small talk, he replied, his eyes flickering with amusement. It seems we both prefer the quiet. For a moment, neither spoke, the sound of water trickling from the fountain filling the silence. Serafina felt a tension in the air, a pull she could not quite define. Your husband is a fortunate man, Lucas said softly, his gaze lingering on her. Serafina flushed, unsure of how to respond. She had heard many such compliments before, but from Luca, the words felt different and charged, as though they carried a hidden meaning. Lord Morrel is a good man, she said, her voice steady, though she could feel the quickening of her pulse. We are well suited. Well suited, Luca repeated, as if tasting the words. But is that enough? Serafina's heart skipped. What do you mean? Luca stepped closer, his eyes locked on hers. Do you never long for more, for something beyond the role society has carved out for you? His words hit her like a blow, for they mirrored the very thoughts she had buried deep inside herself. The longing, the restlessness, the desire for something beyond the carefully curated life she led, it all came rushing to the surface. I don't know what you mean, she said, her voice barely above a whisper, but Luca's eyes told her he knew exactly what she meant. For the rest of the evening, Serafina could think of nothing but Luca's words. His question echoed in her mind, stirring the desires she had tried so hard to suppress. What did she want? Was her life enough? These thoughts followed her home, lingering even as she lay beside her husband at night, his breathing steady in the darkness. In the weeks that followed, Serafina found herself drawn to Luca again and again. They crossed paths at every social gathering, every event, and each time, the tension between them grew. Their conversations became deeper, more personal, as if they were the only two people who truly understood one another. It wasn't long before Serafina realized that her interest in Luca had grown into something far more dangerous, an attraction that could not be denied. She knew it was wrong. She was a married woman, bound by vows of loyalty and devotion, and yet, the pull toward Luca was irresistible. His presence awakened something in her, a hidden allure, a desire she had never allowed herself to feel before. It was intoxicating, and with each passing day, it grew stronger. One evening, after a lavish dinner party at the Morrel estate, Serafina found herself alone in the garden once more. The night was cool, the stars bright in the sky. She had excused herself from the festivities, needing a moment of quiet. But as she wandered through the garden, she wasn't alone for long. Luca appeared, as if summoned by her very thoughts. Serafina, he said softly, stepping toward her. He no longer addressed her as lady, and she didn't correct him. Luca, she replied, her voice trembling. She knew she should walk away, return to the house, but her feet remained rooted to the ground. For a moment, neither spoke, the weight of their unspoken feelings hanging in the air. I can't stop thinking about you, Lucas said, his voice raw with emotion. There's something between us, something undeniable. You feel it too, don't you? Serafina closed her eyes, willing herself to resist, but the truth was undeniable. She did feel it. She had felt it from the moment they first locked eyes at the ball. But she also knew that giving into that feeling would mean betraying everything she had built with her husband, everything she was supposed to be. I do, she whispered, her voice barely audible. But we can't. Why not? Luca asked, his hand reaching out to touch hers. Why deny what's real, what we both want? Serafina's breath hitched as his hand brushed against hers. The touch sent a shiver down her spine, igniting a fire within her that she had tried so hard to extinguish. Because it's wrong, she said, though her voice lacked conviction. Luca stepped closer, his gaze intense. What's wrong is living a life without passion, without desire. You deserve more than this, Serafina. You deserve to feel alive. His words cut through her defenses, stirring the part of her that had long been dormant. She had spent years living a life of duty, of restraint, but here, with Luca, she felt something she had never felt before: real freedom. Before she could stop herself, Serafina leaned in, her lips brushing against his. The kiss was electric, filled with all the longing and desire she had kept hidden for so long. For a brief moment, she allowed herself to give into the temptation, to feel the thrill of the forbidden. But as quickly as it had begun, reality crashed down around her. Serafina pulled away, her heart pounding with guilt and shame. No, she gasped, stepping back. I can't. This is wrong. A broken bar. I have to go. Without waiting for a response, she turned and fled into the night, her mind racing. What had she done? What had she allowed herself to feel? Back in the safety of her home, Serafina was consumed by guilt. She had crossed a line, one she could never uncross. She had betrayed her husband, her marriage, even if only for a moment. The thrill of the hidden allure had been intoxicating, but it had also been destructive. In the days that followed, Serafina avoided Luca at all costs. She knew that if she allowed herself to be near him again, she would fall deeper into the trap of her own desires. She could not risk losing everything: her reputation, her marriage, her sense of self, for the fleeting allure of passion. Luca, sensing her withdrawal, eventually left Bellamont, disappearing as quickly as he had arrived. The whispers of his presence in the city faded, and life in Bellamont returned to its usual rhythm. But for Serafina, things had changed. She had glimpsed the darker side of desire, the hidden allure that had the power to destroy everything she held dear. The allure of forbidden desires may be intoxicating, but they often lead to self-destruction and regret. True happiness and fulfillment are found not in chasing fleeting passions but in honoring the commitments we have made to others and to ourselves. The hidden allure may tempt us, but resisting it requires strength, integrity, and wisdom. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you enjoyed, then please like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.